Welcome to the Triple Takeover Toycast, a fortnightly podcast all about Transformers and occasionally other toy lines as well, but tonight is definitely about Transformers because we're talking Terrorcons versus Technobots, baby.
Sorry, Technobots versus Terrorcons.
Oh, is that the way?
Oh, the other way around.
That's,
Okay,
yeah.
right, yeah.
Okay.
Don't be putting my boys second in the billing.
Oh,
Your suggestion for this episode was that we were going to kind of come to the end and then be like, which one's your favourite? And I think you've just blown that whole conceit, haven't you?
I feel like anyone who's ever heard my voice before knows how much I love the Technobots.
Hi, my name is Liam and I love the Technobots. I have heard you introduce yourself like that.
But more on their computational abilities later.
Exactly. Ooh, very nice.
Fancy. Yes,
very nice. So I was going to introduce you as the Sixettes tonight, but I guess
that's our new title, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like TFN title.
The Discord has picked up on that, you may have noticed.
This is the last episode now. It must have been love, but it's all over now.
I've got a bad feeling we've got to wear lycra at TFN based on the gifts being shared earlier as well.
You see, and nobody that isn't on our Discord, the people who are not on our Discord, they don't get that reference now. So you've just introduced that topic to the main public pod, can I say?
True. Yeah,
and
think
people are
about
gonna
that,
be like,
everybody.
What?
They've all got the look.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just making Rotsette references here, by the way. That's fine.
Yeah, I got that.
We got that.
Just in case.
Yeah, we noted that. Yeah,
R.I.P.
We're up to your shenanigans.
She's dead, isn't she? Did you know that? Not to go off on a Roxette tangent, but
I did
I
not know
that.
that.
I don't think
Yeah.
I did know that. Yeah.
Oh, loved a bit of
Sad.
Roxette.
Sad, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
What a way to start the episode, Liam.
Yeah.
Sorry, everyone.
Such
We
morbid
went from
news.
lycra, us dressed in lycra, to Roxette has passed. That's the
But it's
content
over
for
now,
tonight, everyone.
Yeah, maybe this really is the last episode. My God.
Yeah.
So, do you want me to introduce you or not?
Yes, please.
My name is Sixo.
Go on then.
More on that later. With me as ever, Liam from Toybox Soapbox. How you doing?
What ho?
Oh,
Just that tonight.
just
Nothing.
standard.
No spin on it.
Let's keep it simple. You've got to come in with the classic sometimes, you know.
All right,
Reaffirm
okay.
what made it great in the first place.
Yeah, Liam, of course, is very much Team Technobot, as we've already discovered. So, spoiler.
Yes.
Yeah, no spoilers there. And of course, we also have Mr. Jason of J-Swags. How are you feeling tonight?
Pretty wired. I am full of Scottish iron brew right now, so a lot of caffeine coursing through me. Expect curveballs aplenty.
Oh my God.
Oh, he's got the afterburners on. He'll be talking at light speed.
There we go. Jason, I feel like you could go Team Terrorcon here, but only if you mistakenly thought they were friends.
Whence? I know. Yeah. I actually don't. Do I know? Well, you're going to find out.
The Terra Archons.
Just any icon. Icon, Technobot. Okay, yeah. Bot, friend, con, baddie. Got you. Okay, I'm set.
I was going to say, are you struggling with the idea that the Terrorcons are actually Decepticons here?
They look quite friendly. They're nice
They
colours.
are. They're friendly coloured.
The friendly
Yes.
colours, exactly. But I'm not going to spoil my choice until you got to stay tuned, everyone, to hear which one I'm going to choose.
Tune in for that, you know?
Yeah.
And you'll have to find out about me. I've just gone and got copies of both of my G1 Technobots and Terrorcons from the cabinet to line them up on the desk as inspiration. So
I know it's not fair. You've got those, and Liam's got. Who have you got, Liam, in the hand? I missed who it was.
Computron.
Oh, the full,
Hey!
the
There he
whole
is,
guy.
little G1 lad, yeah.
And a third-party nose cone.
Oh, nice. Oh,
Spiky.
yeah. Can we start with nose cone? I love nose cone.
Yeah, well, we'll get to all of that. We should mention, before Nose Cone, we should mention that we do have a sponsor for the evening. That is tfsource.com. So go and check them out for all your Transformers needs. And we also have a bit of a Patreon as well, don't we, gentlemen?
We do.
Yes. Popping.
And it's particularly popping. You're right, Liam. You always say that, and I always agree with you.
It's like popping
'Cause
candy.
It is popping. Yeah, it really is. Particularly the Discord. But yeah, we have 5 glorious tiers of stuff, loads of great stuff on there. We've got everything from early access to episodes such as this. We've got bonus recordings. We've got minisodes, mini-series. We've got a Discord. It's all kicking off at patreon.com/Triple Takeover. So you should absolutely go and check that out as well if you enjoy what you're hearing here. But lads, Technobots versus Terrorcons. These are some of the absolutely astounding toys of the era, wouldn't you say?
Yes, absolutely. Greatest combiner team by far. Just, man,
Teams.
this is the peak.
Teams.
We're talking about both.
He's very biased, isn't he?
I ain't talking about your fish guys. There's a time and a place for that. But I suppose technically it's here.
No, they're not actually fish. They're not fish. The Terracons,
Yes,
of
they
course.
are.
That's the Seacons you're thinking
That's
of.
the sea icons.
Yeah, but the Terracons have got blot.
Oh, they've got Ripper Snapper, which is a
Ripper
bit
Snapper
sharky. Yeah,
It's a land shark.
What's blot?
Blot is kind of a monster. It's just like a generic monster.
Yeah, it's a fish monster, isn't it?
No, not at all. No, he's like a land monster, definitely.
The hell is a land monster?
He's
a monster that resides on land.
Yeah, exactly.
What's next? Oh, he's
Not
an
in the
air
sea.
monster. It's like very generic monster terms.
Okay, I'm checking the wiki here, and it says that Blot transforms into a long-armed, hunchbacked monster thing. So, I mean, literally,
See?
They're a monster.
Underwater.
a monster thing. There you
Could go underwater, but specifies land.
But no, but these guys hail from the peak Transformers era as well. The sort of the 86 kind of, we're in that, getting that time frame, aren't we? 86, 87 era.
Yeah, I think what's cool about these is that they're 87 bots. What I've always kind of liked about them is that they are Scramble City combiners, but they're second year Scramble City combiners. And it's like you had your...
Next generation.
Yeah, exactly. You had your initial guys with Superion, Defensor, Bruticus, Menasor, and then, they also felt new from Devastator the year prior to that. But then there's always been something about Computron and Abominus for me that's like, wow, these guys are so fresh, and they're not as commonly used as the big four as well from 86. They're not, they're a little bit more off to the side, and I think that makes them more interesting somehow.
They're just really quirky. That's the thing about them. Like the actual, when you start looking at the, particularly with, when you're looking at the separate parts with the Terracons, even just trying to work out what they are, but like Hunger is one of my favorite alt modes across the line. This like dual-headed, is it a dragon? Is that what he's defined as?
Yeah, he's a double-headed dragon, yeah.
He's a double-headed dragon. It just looks so great. And it's his legs. It's like he's like doing this kind of random kind of backwards press up when he's in his alt mode. I've always had a soft spot for this particular combiner, and I think it is because it keys into that bit as a kid where it's just like a whole load of fun, takes a bit of imagination, and it's not what I kind of expected from the Transformers line, because it was all cars and trucks and all that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah, I think that's interesting because in my mind, the Terracons especially felt like a real shift at the time because they were, not only were they like proper beast modes, and we had a bit of that with like the Predacons and stuff, but I never really knew the Predacons as a kid. In a way, the Terracons felt a little bit more omnipresent, like they were more present in the cartoon and things like this.
Comic, were they in the comic?
They were in the comic a little bit. Yeah, I just felt like I knew them a bit more. And I don't know.
But season 3's, them and Computron are the team,
exactly.
aren't they? The two teams from
Yeah.
The other combiners are about, but not to the same degree.
I think the introduction of these two teams was so memorable as well, in Grimlock's New Brain and stuff like that. And I think it's the fact that there's something about the Terracons that they felt like a real shift towards this more, not just animalistic Transformers or animalistic Decepticons, but it felt like the team where the Decepticons became a lot dumber, like they were gnarling sort of beasts, like all growling and whatever else. Whereas previously they'd been just sort of like regular bad guys that turned into tanks and things like this. And it felt like a real step change to me.
Yeah, but that's sort of across the board for season 3, isn't it? Like the Dinobots all become extra stupid. Yeah, season 3 has a real shift in that sort of category. But these characters, man, they really stand out in this series. And it is, you are right, it is like season 1 is just Devastator, isn't it? Season 2 is Superion versus Menasor.
Yes, it very much is.
And then this series. But these two teams as well, they feel way more unique than any of the others because, like, obviously the first one's it's combat vehicles, construction vehicles, jets, cars, emergency service vehicles. What is Computron? Just random vehicles. There's no real theme other than future.
Yeah, sci-fi.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
The Terracons, they're just different kinds of monsters. They're not really connected as a specific tied together group.
That's true,
and
actually.
I think that's what makes them really work. Beyond being monsters but it's not in the same way, like it's very definitively like emergency service vehicles, jet
No,
fighters, and stuff like
you're
that.
right, because even with the Seacons, it's very clearly fish, isn't it? That's that's the theme.
That is it's the
Whereas
sea.
you don't have that here. Yeah, the sea.
Real fillet of fish.
The sea is the theme.
the titular sea. Yeah. Whereas, you don't have that here.
There's a dual-headed theme to a certain extent in for Abominus for the Terrorcons.
That's true.
Twin and Hunger. But it is so. I don't know where they came from a kind of design point of view. From like, were these originally Takara that came over, or were they?
No, they weren't. No, I mean they were newly designed. I believe anyway. I don't believe that their designs sort of originated with the sort of original Diaclone sort of Scramble City stuff at all, because to me, as far as I'm aware, they're newly designed Hasbro bots or Hasbro and Takara. For specifically the Transformers line. Because the original for Superion and those guys from '86 were all conceived as part of Diaclone.
Totally.
And the whole idea there, you can see the prototype images, or kind of very blurry anyway, online. The whole idea was not so much that they were going to be in individual teams, but that it was kind of mix and match. So you would have like 4 big, sort of leader bots, if you will, and then all of the limbs were going to be interchangeable, so that you could have. Although, yes, you could create a team of emergency vehicles or a team of jets, you could also have a combiner which was like a jet limb with an ambulance limb and a tank limb and whatever, and it was like, go happy, basically. It was only when it got to Transformers that they were like, these are going to be separate teams and sort of individual characters.
Yeah.
And so I think that's just what fascinates me about these, is that it's almost like, it's a bit like when we talked about the cassettes and we talked about stuff like Beastbox and Squawk Talk being created as Transformer-specific toys that fit a pattern that came from Diaclone and Microchange.
Totally.
That they came from that pre-Transformers era, but they're not pre-Transformers toys. And these guys to me are the same. They fit the same pattern. They feel like those toys, but they're not. They're created specifically for Transformers.
Yeah.
Even as a kid, I recognized that. Like as a kid, like these felt like there was a cutoff, and these were the start of something different. Even though they felt similar, there was a very distinct, different vibe to them, in the same way you had with Hot Rod and Cup and Blur. They were in Transformers boxes, but you were very aware they were different to what came before. And it's like, you were very cognizant of that fact. And it was like, they're Hasbro toys, but you didn't know that at the time. But it's the same with these guys. But it's funny considering like how the Transformers line had been like a mishmash of disparate toy lines and stuff cobbled together, that when they then came to do these, they fell back on making it feel like previous ones. They didn't just go and do something entirely different. They went, oh no, let's make it feel just like prior Scramble Bot.
Out of interest, have you guys ever done the kind of Scramble City stuff? So have you ever mixed the limbs from the Terrorcons with, for example, like Defensor or anything like that?
I'm sure I did as a kid. I'm pretty sure I did as a kid. Yeah,
never had any of the Terrorcons.
Yes, I didn't as a kid, and it's funny because I have never really played with that kind of part of those. I always keep the teams together because they are very much those teams, and I knew I could, but I never did it actually. And it's now something that is like, I really want to do, because the idea of having like Ripper Snapper on the arm of like, on Defensor or whatever like that, mixing the factions, mixing all these different figures up, seeing what you can get. It's great play value. It's great kind of fun to do that.
It's what they're designed to do. I also think it's hilarious to me. The whole makeup of these toys is so funny because they're designed to be scrambled. It's in the name, in the Japanese name anyway. But no bugger ever does it.
Yeah.
Everybody combines them in the same way, like versus the cartoon or the box art or whatever the sort of source is. I do it as well. I'm looking at these guys on my desk now, and they're combined. Nose cone is the left leg, always, perpetually.
Yeah.
Totally.
Strafe is the left arm.
Hasbro cursed them in that way, didn't they?
Yeah.
They gave them very strict teams that they never deviated from in fiction.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of, they missed a trick there by not showcasing in the cartoon and the comics.
It's true, actually.
Yeah,
they could mix and match and then make that a story point. Like obviously in Japan, the Scramble idea, and you're like, that's how they should have done it. Like rather than just very separating them constantly, they never ever mixed. And you're like, you missed a trick there. If you could have had a few episodes of a cartoon where Defensor and Menasor and a Superion spot parts and stuff for different features,
it would be so cool.
It would be cool.
I'm assuming we all did it as kids. I'm assuming you mix parts, but it was more due to having some, not
yes,
complete.
Exactly.
It definitely was
That's
that.
So it's more out of necessity. But even then, you still felt like there's a little bit in the back of your head like, it's not quite right because it's not supposed to be like that. But that's because they conditioned you to think it has to be this way. And it's a really odd thing to have a gimmick like this with such a strong selling point and for them to completely go the opposite way. Yeah.
It might be the
totally.
biggest instance of like a core gimmick that is so central to the play value and play pattern of the toys that then the fiction has just completely destroyed. You know, it's like it's completely ignored it, you know?
Missed the point of completely.
Yeah.
It's so true. Because that would have been, I wonder if Daniel will do it, although he's coming to the end of his Skybound kind of run, isn't it? But that would be really, it would be so fun to see that. Because it's like, oh, okay, that guy's dead. Let's just get that guy instead and attach him instead. You know, it's just like that's exactly what a kid would do. It's like, oh no, you've been killed.
It makes me laugh when people, and even like they do this in fiction stuff where they go about devastated, like he's the first combiner and he's the only one whose limbs have to be in a specific place. And you're like, but so what? All the others, they're always in the same place anyway. It doesn't matter that they can move because no one ever makes notice of it.
Exactly. I always laugh now when new toys come up. And, you know, new combiners, and like there's the legacy combiners and stuff now, and people are talking about the skeleton limbs and all of this. And one of the arguments against the whole kind of skeleton combiner thing, or like the new format of combiners, is people are always like, well, can you scramble the limbs? And it's like, well, no, they're set in position. Yeah, exactly. People get so irate about it, like, oh, it's ruined. Oh, I wanted to be able to theoretically scramble the limbs, but never actually do it.
Yeah.
You know,
show me your G1 defensor. Yeah,
exactly.
They got that functionality built in because it was there, not because they would use it or did use it, and they just want it again, and it cracks me up.
No one ever does it. The only time I can really think of it happening is with in Car Robots, when Takara introduced, you know, Boldigus, who became Ruination in RAD, and it was the old
different
Bruticus mold, but different modes, different setup. You had the Brawl mold as an arm, which kind of always made sense because it's the cannon is on the arm, and that's kind of cool. And that I always thought was kind of fun. And that's, to be fair, in my collection, that's the only time I've really mixed up from what I perceive as the norm. And it's so strange because actually you're right, Jason. Like I have thought before to kind of mix them up and stuff. I've just never actually done it. And I think it would be fun to do in some photos and things, actually, because I could just imagine the comments, people being like, what?
Done it wrong.
What's happening here?
Yeah.
But because I got Boldigus recently from our good friend Graham, and when I got it, I was like, wait a minute, I need my Bruticus now. I want to muck around with this. And the thing was, it was such a weird thought because I was like, this is the same toy. I'm not properly mucking around with it. But when I was looking at it, like you said, I was like, oh, different arm positions, different bots and all that kind of stuff. But I also think going back to what we've got with the Terrorcons and the Technobots is for Hasbro to go, all right, yep, as you said earlier, Sixo, we're going to keep that play value. We're going to allow people to do this with very different characters, very different alt modes, and this whole new kind of line, if you like, and a whole kind of new style that they're doing with it, and the color scheme as well, which we've not got into. That was because they could have gone a completely different route. They could have like done a very different way to combine robots. They could have made them a different size. They could have changed it radically. But for them to make that choice is pretty cool, actually, that they wanted to keep it in there.
I wonder if someone in Takara had not like the designs done, you know, not like prototyped or whatever, but maybe they had some sketches or something, you know, like concepts that just had never been seen. I'm totally speculating now, right? Like I've got no evidence for that whatsoever, but these things are worked on for a good couple of years at least, you know, sometimes. So it's possible that they're just like a sketchbook thing that was done for sort of the early sort of Diaclone idea. I don't know, but we've got no evidence for that.
There are elements of the Technobots that feel more Takara driven.
Yeah.
Like Lightspeed's peg, like it's going in really flat. The way it goes in the back, there's just something about it that feels way more Takara-y than Hasbro and stuff like that. There's something about them in particular where I feel like there must have been Takara designs here because they've got that kind of Japanese, like almost Diaclone vehicle kind of vibe. Yeah. Like Strafe, his jet is kind of a nonsense. It doesn't really look like a typical fighter jet. Like even a spacey one, does it? It's like, where's the cockpit? Where's all this stuff? It just kind of looks like a weird triangle. with things, but it feels more like, say, an R-type craft from like a video game, like that kind of ship.
It reminds me of the Cylon ships from Battlestar Galactica.
Oh,
that
man,
kind
it
of
does.
shape.
Yeah.
It's got that kind
It
of
really
vibe about
reminds
it.
me of the early mid-80s arcade sort of shooters that were coming out of Japan, stuff like R-Type, Gradius, things like that, more than anything else, because it doesn't look like anything from Western fiction. And the way it has the two guns positioned on the front, the two orange caps, the way they come off and can move about, that's very 80s shooting arcade game sort of thing, where they used to, like R-Type, where they would have the weapons that
they would rotate around.
The power-ups, and they would rotate around.
Yeah.
It's very modular in that way.
It's true.
It just has that vibe. It doesn't feel like a Hasbro-led kind of thing, because you feel like they would lean it in more toward like a military-looking thing. I mean, that's just my own speculation, but I feel the way they are designed is so 80s Japan. Even with the browns, that's a very...
They're odd color schemes.
They are really odd color schemes. Yeah, it is.
But that feels like something you would have seen come out of Japan of that time. And a lot of old Japanese toys, they would use those sort of colors.
Yeah, you're right. And there's so much about Computron, especially, that is just unusual to me.
Peak.
It is. Do you know? I remember getting the Scattershot toy for the first time, and it was kind of towards the end of my tenure with Generation 1 and all that. I wasn't specifically like a child, but I was kind of like on the way out, if you like. And it just felt so unusual. I just remember like messing around with it, and I really liked it. Worked out pretty quickly that it had a penis. I mean, if you've had that toy at any point, then that's undeniable, right? Like we've all made that discovery. No?
Well, I hear the police used to use it to get kids to touch it. Show us on the scatter shot.
Oh no, my God!
Bleep, bleep.
I'm moving swiftly on from that.
Oh my goodness!
Cripes.
Oh my goodness!
Good God!
Trauma.
Yeah.
So as a kid, I had all of the Computron limbs, but I never had Scattershot. But
Oh,
a
did
kid
you
at
not?
school had them, and he had Scattershot and no limbs. So he would bring it, and we'd go around his house and stuff, and we'd put them all together.
Nice.
And it was just incredible, but was so aware of how different it is to
So weird.
any of the others. And they're all quite different leaders, but there's something about him that really stands out as a different kind of toy altogether.
There really is. It's got the sort of weird third mode as well, which is super cool. And like, that's the other thing. Like, I know that obviously, the other leaders, Hotspot and all those guys, technically they've got the third modes because, they've got like repair bay modes and that kind of stuff. But there was something specifically about the third modes for like Scattershot, for example. It's just I mean, what is it? It's a kind of like, it's like a little weapons platform thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
With like a very kind of protruding, suggestive element to it.
It's a cannon.
Yeah, it's a base. It's a base mode. Yeah, exactly.
It's definitely a toy. I don't want to say what kind of toy, but it's definitely a toy.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Playtime.
Yeah. But it's so unique. There's so much detail and interesting like things on him. Again, like the brown and the kind of... It's not a bright white that uses that kind of like off-white.
It's a creamy. It's creamy, isn't it? Yeah, totally.
Almost bordering on tan. And then he's got like the little, almost like blasters on his hands and things like that. And just such a unique interest. And the bright blue face.
Yeah, of course.
That's a weird one as well.
Yeah, about that, of course. Do you know, the thing is, you just touched on it there, Liam, about... touched on it, sorry. I can't get that out of my head. I know, sorry, this is awful. But the detailing on all the accessories on these figures, there's a lot of greebly bits and there's a lot of moulding going on. And keep in mind, like I remember this when I first got Strafe in hand and also Nose Cone, and the accessories, again, are kind of like, they're tiny for these figures and stuff like that. But I did notice the detailing on that and on the actual alt modes and stuff, which was, for me, was something a bit different to what we'd got previously from a Hasbro line in particular. And I really liked that, the fact that you got these, when Strafe didn't have the guns on it, and then it would have this kind of very stylistic, kind of slightly hoverboard or hover vehicle type thing to it, but then you put the guns on the front of it, and then it was like the spaceship and all that kind of stuff. So it was a very different take compared to what I was used to with the likes of, well, like the Motormaster team, Motormaster and all the cars, they had the little blasters and that was it. And they still had relatively good detail, but these guys just seemed another level.
These guys each have about 9 different accessories.
Yeah.
All of them have.
Totally. Yeah, there's loads.
Like, Nose Cone has the pistol, and then he has the two batons.
Rifles. Yeah, or the batons, that's right.
The batons don't do anything, because in vehicle mode, they just sit on their sides. And it's like... And then Afterburner has the 2 little missile rocket things that go on the side. Then he has the pistol. Afterburner has all of the different guns that go on the side. And they're different guns as well. They're not just reflections of each other. You know what I mean? They are completely different guns.
Molding.
Plus his little machine gun he holds, his little Uzi. And then Strafe has his 2 nose cone rockets and a handheld weapon. And they've just got so much stuff. And then even Scattershot has those weird little guns that plug into the shoulder.
The little guns.
The tiny
they go on
ones.
his shoulders.
Yeah, they go into the combiner ports. And
that's
it's like,
right. Yeah.
Why does he have
So
this? It's
weird.
like, why doesn't he? Why wouldn't he? And you're like, no, cool. Yeah, give me more of that.
Yeah,
they
that
really
all
went
felt
for
really
it. It's
unusual.
true. Yeah.
I mean, there was some of that with the earlier toys as well. Like I always think of with Hotspot, he's got those weird little arms, the little black arms and stuff like
Specifically
that.
for his repair bay, though.
I forgot about that. Yeah, of course.
They always felt really unusual. But you're right. I mean, the Technobots especially have got tons of accessories. The Terrorcons are a little bit that way. I've been handling the Terrorcons quite a bit recently. And one thing that had occurred to me was how many little guns they've got. Like Blot, for example, has got one that kind of pegs into the top of his beast mode and things like this. And Landshark, what's his name?
Ripper
Snapper has got, the thing that kind of pegs into the back of his beast mode as well. And it is completely superfluous, like doesn't do anything because it can only shoot up, for example. So it's a really strange choice.
Fellow seekers, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Completely useless. But again, Blot's got that like weird purple thing that kind of pegs into his back for the other gun to kind of peg onto. So it's
I never understood that bit. It was kind of like a tail. I don't know. It was this weird thing, wasn't it? It didn't really have a purpose.
I think that's it for me with these two altogether. Is that they have a sort of design elements to them that make me feel, or certainly they did as a kid, they made me feel like there were elements I just wasn't understanding about them. Not in a bad way at all, but like in a kind of really mysterious way. Like,
alien.
Why are they? Yeah.
They're properly
why are
alien.
they this way? Like,
totally.
What's going on here? There's some mystery to these somehow. Just very unusual toys all around.
I've just looking at the image of Cinetwin actually here as well. He's got dual tail on Cinetwin.
He does.
Yeah,
he does.
Which is like the design of these are glorious, like just so nice, and I think I like them more looking at them now because, as Liam was saying earlier, these color schemes, like the color scheme on Cinetwin of that bright yellow. And then that kind of like that deep turquoise that he's got going on as well. This is very much in like the kind of what's coming next to the Transformers line, and this kind of shift in colors.
This is early late 80s, isn't it? The second you look at it, you can tell where those colors come from.
Totally.
What era in time? Like
100%.
Bang on.
Yeah, Abominus especially. I think for me, like I really love the Technobot color scheme. But there's something about the Abominus Terrorcon color scheme. It's the hot pink with the sort of searing, sort of grayish white. Like it's not even like brilliant white, but it's a really, really cool, lovely kind of grey white, unlike Hunger and Ripper Snapper.
Yeah.
I really love the yellow, particularly like the sort of super bright yellow of Cinetwin. I think Cutthroat is nice, but Cinetwin is just
video
something
game
else.
console coloured.
It is. It is. Totally.
Yeah, you're right, actually. It really is, yeah. There's just something about, and it's the pink and everything as well, kind of pinky purple, kind of whatever it is. It's just so gorgeous, so striking, and it feels quite unique, but it's also entirely in step with, as you said, exactly what was happening in that era of toys. Like, you line it up with other stuff of that ilk. 1987, you've got, Misfire, Slugslinger, all of that kind of stuff, and it just feels perfectly in step with those toys.
Yeah, it's interesting. I have them on display with that line in that era as well, rather than with all the other combiners that I've got as well. Just because I love that color scheme for the Decepticons. Because before that it was all kind of same, but then suddenly it just changed, and definitely got a soft
It
spot.
works so well.
Yeah.
They look a little bit different, actually, to the other combiners as well from the year prior. I have mine on the same shelf as like Defensor and all those guys, but there's no doubt that they stand out a little bit. Like, particularly again, I think Abominus, because he's quite large actually. Like overall, I think he's a little bit larger even than Computron, but he's quite bulbous and round.
Yeah, the most articulated combiner of G1 as well.
What, Abominus?
Yeah, because of the legs. Because the legs are just the robot legs, but they're at the hips, so you can
yeah,
move, you can pivot them, and kind of even gives them knees, whereas the rest don't do that.
That's
None
right.
of them can do that in the same way.
totally.
So you can, I've never thought of it, but actually, you could bend a knee and you can bend the hip forward, can't you?
Yeah, and you get a bit of outward from it as well because of the way his leg
His
folds
legs
up.
split.
It's
Right.
possibly the most articulated legs on a G1 Transformer.
Yeah, it really is, isn't it?
Up there, yeah,
But
certainly.
Proportionally, I really like Abominus. I just he just has this kind of menace about him in his like slightly stunted upper torso, but makes him just look like this little kind of beefcake, this little bully boy, you know. And then
He looks like a brute, doesn't he? He looks like a real,
exactly,
a real bruiser.
Yeah.
Brutus the Barber Beefcake. We've got both of those now. So, yeah.
Exactly.
No,
but you know what I mean? Like, he's just quite curvy as well. Whereas, like, you look at Bruticus or Menasor, and they're quite angular.
Yeah.
You know, they've got the kind of really hard lines and this kind of stuff going on. Whereas you look at Abominus, even the chest plate, which should be hard lines, it's not. It's got like a real curve to it. It's like Hot Rod's chest in a way from the animation. You know, it's just got that slight kind of rounded quality to it. Yeah. And it's quite interesting. It sets it apart a little bit.
It really does. I think it is one of the biggest chest plates, although actually Technobots one is pretty massive as well. But the fact it's got that split down just at his groin and the way that it's and the stickers on it, like even actually the stickers on these figures as well. And I'll admit, I got mine very cheap, but there's quite a bit of sticker wear, maybe a few rusty screws on it and stuff like that.
Oof.
But I really love the stickers on Abominus in the
yellow on the crotch and things like that.
Yeah, just that detailing, and it just gives it this kind of slightly organic techno feel about it, which I really like.
Do you know what else is interesting though about the design is that, I mean, again, comparing it to modern toys, the one thing that of course you always hear now is, again, not to bring up the whole skeleton combiner thing. We did an episode on all of this not so long ago. You know, you can go and check it out about combiners and kind of the perfect solutions and all of that.
We?
But we did, we absolutely did. You know, we talked about the new Superion and all of that kind of stuff.
Okay, now, I'm back up to speed. I'm back.
He's back in the room.
Did we?
I'm back in the room.
Did that happen?
Yeah, it was episode 97, in case you want to go and check it out. So, Liam, maybe you should go and have a listen.
Go and have a listen to yourself.
Listen to it for the first time, like, am I in this? Oh, yeah.
Was
Some
I
good
there?
points were made. I could just imagine you sitting there with like a little glass of beer or something, listening away, going, I don't know about the other two, but this soapbox guy makes
He knows what he's
excellent
talking
points.
about.
I'm on
Yes.
board. I was just subscribed to his newsletter. So,
Yes, I'm just shouting, more curveballs, more curveballs. That's what I want.
I dread to think. But it's interesting because you talk about the new combiners, and the one complaint a lot of people always have is that the main bot is kind of superfluous, kind of useless in that they just sort of plug in to the thing I think people always imagine is because of the third party combiners is they've seen these ones where it's like literally a massive body for the combiner and the main guy, your Silverbolt or whoever just kind of plugs into the back and is like a cube basically.
Yeah.
And actually on Legacy Menasor that's not how it is at all. Like Motormaster is still kind of the main body sort of, but it's combining in a different way. Whereas actually I'm looking at the G1 Abominus now, and obviously Hunger is the main body, but I want to say 80% of that is covered by the chest plate.
Yeah.
And then you've got the head added on top. So really the only bit of Hunger that you see is the legs.
The legs.
Like literally the thighs for the combined mode. That's the only bit that you can actually see of Hunger. So it's strange in that regard,
Yeah, but it's different, isn't it?
Is it?
Yep, just is. That's what people will tell you.
Right, okay.
That's what people will tell you when they make the same argument. It's like, but that's different. You're like, why is it?
Yeah.
Because it is. Like, is it?
Reasons.
It's just what it is.
Exactly.
It's different. Yeah.
I thought you were about to blow my argument out of the water there, Liam. I was really...
I was waiting for a pun. I thought he was going to
I'm on your side of this line.
There might be a pun. I thought there might be a pun. But it's just, I don't know, it's just interesting because the hands are sort of faux parts, the feet are faux parts, most of the main bot is covered up. I'm not criticizing it at all. I'm just saying it's funny that we forgive so much on these original toys and we critique new toys for doing similar things.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
you know?
Do you not think, though, because these were then, as we're talking about, that this is a Hasbro Takara design going off the base of Scramble City, that when they were like really thinking about how this goes together and giving them a different silhouette for Abominus in particular, because when you go back to Computron, I always like how he sits really nicely with Defensor for me, and the kind of the size, the shape. There's a bit more greebly bits, but it's still it'll fit fine, as Liam said earlier, because they're vehicles and stuff like that. Whereas the combined move of Abominus just feels like a step change for me in the way that it was put together, because it's organic, I guess that's what it is. Because you got Ripper Snapper on one arm or leg or whatever, but he's got it's just curvy bits, isn't it? I think that's what it is, the difference. So it just gives a different silhouette compared to the other ones, I think.
I think it does stand out, definitely. It's what I was sort of trying to say earlier, is that, I have them on the shelf with the other sort of Scramble City styled combiners, and it absolutely feels a sort of slight step apart for me somehow.
Yeah.
It doesn't quite feel more than Computron, definitely. Like it doesn't quite feel the same, but not in a bad way at all. But even versus Piranacon, to be honest, which was a year later, that feels more in line with the original Scramble City dudes somehow versus Abominus. There's just something very unique about this specific toy.
Yeah, I would agree. One thing I do need to talk about, though, for Technobots is the combined mode head, which is one of my favorite head sculpts ever in a toy. It's amazing, isn't
it? The Bret Hart shades that he's wearing.
Totally.
And the red face shades. Like he's been out in the sun too long in the afternoon by the pool and caught the sun.
Yeah, it really is.
And his missus was probably there going, I told you not to sit out there without sun cream on.
It's really nicely painted as well, isn't it? Like I'm just looking at it up close now. I always like it that he's got a slightly sort of annoyed face on him. Like he's sort of like cool under those shades, but like kind of, okay then.
Burnt again.
Yeah.
It's such a shame that the modern versions that Hasbro and Takara did for Combiner Wars Unite Warriors, neither of them landed the head. Both of them.
No, they didn't, did they? That's why I didn't get them in the end. That's why
Hasbro's was terrible. It was just the Superion head again with the face
painted. Yeah.
And then the Unite Warriors one is new and it's cool, but it's very cartoony. It's got like blue visor and it's nice, but it's really little. Whereas the original is just wonderful, absolutely wonderful.
Brilliant. Yeah, it's cool.
80s super robot face.
Yeah,
absolutely everything about it.
The original just has such a great aura about it. Like I'm just looking at it now on the desk, and I always love stuff like the double wheels on the shoulder. Kind of coming off from Afterburner. I always thought was super cool, and the face does look a bit pretendery. You're right.
Yeah.
It does.
Really reminds me of like Jazz and some of the others. It's just got that,
like his visor,
that vibe to it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I also really, really love the chest piece for. It's not just a chest piece, is it? On
the Mankini.
Yeah, it's a
Mankini.
It's a
Mankini. God.
Oh my goodness! Wow, Robo Mankini. Yeah,
but with
ruined it now.
Computrons,
Thanks, Liam.
You're welcome. With a lot of them, they're like chest shields, aren't they? Whereas Computrons is the waist, and it bulks out the torso rather than fit in, rather than completely covering it. Because you still see Scatshot's chest through it, and all of that. It just more fits around it, doesn't it? It's really
it's a strange one.
Take.
Yeah, it is. I guess they're all kind of unique in a way. I mean, like I always think of Defensor as being quite unique because he's got the sort of two breastplates that kind of plug on and the little pants. But actually, other than that, I guess he's a little bit more similar to Menasor in a way in that regard. And it's like bra and pants, isn't it?
Yeah,
Whereas, Carbra, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then Defensor's got his very pronounced little red nipples, if you've never noticed them. Have a look. You'll see exactly what I mean. As soon as you look at a picture of it,
look at my database now.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
Look at your Defensor and just check out his little red nips.
Oh, no. I'm having a look.
You'll see.
I didn't even... Oh, my goodness. Well, they're quite high up, aren't they? Woof.
Yeah.
It's cold.
It's The lad is in the mood, let's put it that way. But, I mean, Superion has got the sort of full thing going on, doesn't he? Like the full chest plate as such.
Yeah.
and then like a little pant thing going on as well. Whereas Bruticus is just the one piece, which is more like Abominus. And then you're right, Computron is sort of weird because it's like partly Scattershot's chest and then partly this new Mankini thing that's been slapped on.
Yeah, it's almost like Computron's the way it attaches. It's almost like a horseshoe, isn't it? It's not a full chest shield that goes over the top. It more clips around the side. So it's more to give him a waist than anything and to bulk out the torso. It's a really, really unique, interesting, different thing. And it's got a little square slot on the front as well. That just kind of...
The sort of hollow section.
Yeah.
It's like a kangaroo pouch.
It is, isn't it? It looks like you should be able to put something in there. Like I guess you could keep a little pound coin or something in there. I don't know. But
there must have been a feature that was removed for that. Because it's so specifically sculpted and molded.
It looks like a little guy, like a Titan Master. Okay, future generation, but a Titan Master would fit in that, wouldn't it? Or something like that. It feels like a little guy.
Definitely a socket, isn't it?
Yeah,
it looks like it was designed as a socket.
It feels like maybe like the top of it where it kind of funnels in. It feels like if you had little tabs or something there, you could have had a piece that folded up somehow. There would have been another piece that would just slot in there. A cockpit type thing. I don't know. I mean, it's possible that this piece was supposed to do something at some stage in the design and it just got removed. I don't know.
As a chest shield, though, like the way it works, I love how it bulks it out. I love the little circular bits it gives him up the sides. It's just a really, really different, unique look because it makes him look really wide.
Yeah, it really does.
In a really good way.
Also, the wings from Scattershot and how they become the little hip guns, which is very cool.
That is really cool.
Rather than folding up onto the back and hiding somewhere, they kind of turn up on the sides. It's just a different, really different, unique look. And I love the way his legs fold behind like that. Almost like sort of rocket boosters. I know people will complain. I've seen people complain that it's like kibble sticking out, and it's like it is, but it gives him a completely different look to anything else.
Yeah, I mean it is kibble and it is hanging off the back, but I feel like
it's big enormous boosters that kind of.
Yeah, I kind of love that.
If you're aware of stuff like Gundam and things like that, like when you turn him to the back and you think he's a big giant super robot who's now got these enormous circular boosters on the back, and you like
can fly.
They would propel him about. It kind of makes sense as to how he would launch off a deck.
I just know as well that as kids, there's no way that you'd really be complaining about that. Like your imagination would be having fun with it. Is the thing you'd be doing exactly what you're describing, Liam, and having all kinds of fights where he's like propelling himself forward or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is what you see though in stuff like modern Gundams. Because this is the kind of thing they use, like the rocket boosters. The way they would zoom about is just wicked, man. It's cool.
It is.
It's kind of like hip skirt stuff before they had it, but at the knee.
Yeah, it is very cool. I think it's just a really intriguing set all round. And again, like we're saying about Abominus and everything, like really specifically with Scattershot, I think there's something quite unusual about him and just the way that he transforms and everything. I do think that the Terrorcon design is a little bit cleaner in that regard because I do like the way that the Hunger's feet fold forward to kind of become ultimately the sort of the knee pads, if you like, the little double-headed dragon knee pads. I think that's especially cool. Yeah, and it's very kind of kibble free in that regard. I mean, you've got a little bit of beast kibble hanging out the back. The tail kind of does jut out at quite an angle, but it's not quite the same as what's hanging off the back of Computron, is it?
No. But the other interesting thing about Computron is he's sculpted that he's stepping forward.
Yes, that's true.
The only combine like that. It's just the way the limbs end up positioned in their traditional configuration. But the way they've put the holes on the bottom of nose cone, it means that he always looks like he's stepping forward.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
It's a really odd choice as well. It always, as a kid, kind of like baked my brain because it's like I feel like I'm doing it wrong whenever me and my mate would combine them. It's like we feel like we're doing it wrong or we're missing something because he has the two ports on the bottom.
No, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah,
you're right.
I've got a note in my database, which is when I bought it, and it is about that, Liam. Which is I just have this note that has two right feet for Computron, but both feet are the same, so no worries. Because I remember when I got it. But that's what I left myself. But that's why. So it looks offset. So it's like he's taking a step.
It's because of the back of it's where nose cone's legs fold up. They end up much further forward than any of the other limbs, which is a real oddity. I would love to have heard from the designer on where that came from. Like because obviously you could put other limbs there and it would level them out.
Yeah.
But it just feels like in any other circumstance, they would have figured out a different way for Nosecone. They would have
To put it in.
molded a hole further back somehow. you
Yeah.
know.
Well, the other
Totally.
strange
Yes.
thing, of course, is that Lightspeed, in his kind of correct configuration, if you like, looks like he's backwards.
Yeah,
'Cause-
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
you're actually
totally.
getting the back of the Lightspeed toy,
That's
not
right.
the sort of top of the car with the windshield and everything.
Yeah.
Like the
And there's no
windshield.
stickers on it.
No, exactly. The windshield faces to the back,
Mhm.
and the back of the car, the underneath of the car, if you like, faces forwards. And it's one of those where I know whenever I combine this thing or look at it, I'm always like, is that correct?
Yeah.
Like, have
Yeah.
I actually got that correct?
Yeah.
But that is kind of how it's supposed to be.
And he has a secondary peg.
Oh, does he?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
because he has the head. He acts as the peg for when he's in leg mode. In arm mode, his back as a separate peg that folds down. behind.
I
Yeah,
didn't
so-
know if I knew that.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I see it in the.
And again, it's a real interesting,
totally.
unique thing, and it's purely there because the back folds over, so it's the way they've sculpted that. But it's just
yeah,
a
little
really
white
interesting,
peg. Yeah, that's cool.
interesting, unique flourish.
Yeah, it is. I mean, also interesting is that actually, if you were to turn him around, I've just tried it, you can't have him as a
Yeah,
leg
because it hits
facing
his
the other
toe,
way.
doesn't
Yeah,
it?
Yeah,
That's
the
it.
foot
yeah.
doesn't fit on.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's very, very tightly sculpted, isn't it, on that
Yeah.
bit?
Yeah. But it does kind of look maybe like it would be better if it was. if
Yeah,
it
well,
was
you
that
just see a
way
lot of
around.
It
screws.
feels wrong, like you said. It feels wrong. Like you look
Yeah.
at it even now. Like I love this set so much with the back because they didn't put any stickers or anything to add
Yeah, to
detail.
hide
Like
it,
you,
yeah.
you feel
No.
like that's what. If it was designed that way from the very beginning, you feel like they would have. We have to put something on the back, some kind of detailing to make it look like a leg, or something like it's deliberate. Instead, you just get the copyright stamp and the screw hole.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so strange. What is weird is when you Google G1 Computron, just that, like I'm 5 results in to pictures of Computron before I start seeing people with it facing Lightspeed with the top of the car facing forwards. And what they've all done is they've turned the foot around. So that the
Yeah, I
foot
was
is
going to say
backwards.
that. I've seen
Yeah,
that as
yeah.
well.
Why?
Totally.
Like it's obviously wrong.
yeah,
Yeah.
to make it work.
Yeah, there's a picture of the KO that does that. But then there's numerous other ones. There's a couple from eBay. There's another one, which is, again, from eBay. Someone from Reddit, but they've all done this. They're not all just the KO. These are people's collection pictures as well. There's someone here that on social media that's posted a picture where Lightspeed, again, the top of the car is facing forward, the foot is reversed. But I just don't, there's someone here, Transformers 1, some goober that is...
He doesn't
Might
know
have
what
heard
he's
of that
doing.
film.
Yeah, some knob. Do you know, someone the other day, I shared a
Not
Maz
Maz?
picture, and someone
Yeah.
someone replied going, "But why have they put the Transformers 1 logo on his picture? What's that about?" And I was like, "Oh no,
Never tell
he's
him
gonna
that.
hate that.
Oh, he's gonna hate
no,
that
I didn't
so
tell him.
much.
I didn't
Yeah.
tell him. He's gonna
Oh my
hate it."
goodness.
The thing about the Lightspeed thing was, but you see people like doing that where they turn him round and stuff, and you look at it and you go, "There's a very simple solution to this, baked into the play pattern
Yeah.
toy. Make
Mm.
him a bloody arm.
Just,
Yeah, it's
exactly.
true.
Put another limb down there.
What we
You-
talked about at
you
the beginning.
solve all of it."
Yeah,
Totally.
it's true.
So I think that the thing is for Computron is it comes down to the foot sculpt because I'm kind of comparing it, and I'm pretty sure it has a bigger toe than the other one.
Really,
That's what I'm getting.
one
at
big
here.
toe.
One big toe. I'm going and having a look, and I'm comparing it to Abominus's
Got gout.
big toe as well. Yeah, he does.
He does
He's got
have
a bigger
big
toe.
toes.
He's got a bigger
Yeah.
toe. Yeah.
It's,
So-
it's a really interesting set. Like everything's designed to be more techy. Even the feet have got a little bit more about them.
Yes,
than
it's
normal.
true.
But
Yeah.
he really does feel like Nose Cone and Afterburner were designed to be arms. More than
Mhm.
more than legs, because just the way they both look wrong as legs, because obviously
They're
Nose
very
Cone
skinny.
makes it look like he's stepping forward,
Yeah.
and then Afterburner is backwards, and it
Yeah.
just they both feel wrong no matter what you do, but then together it just adds something to the set.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I do like them as legs, even though they sort of don't work as legs. I think
Yeah.
it's, in a way, it's one of those things, isn't it, where you live with a design for so long that you just sort of take it at face value and just end up
Yeah.
being like,
Well, this is an interesting question, right? So then, post this episode, everyone listening can play along as well. But what is the best Scramble City combination to get kind of the most aesthetically pleasing combined mode
Oh.
using all these different limbs and all these different parts?
But
so
are you allowed to swap teams? Are you allowed
yeah,
to?
any Decepticon,
Ooh.
Autobot, all that stuff. Because because I really love Brawl as a leg because he's just chunky and he fits really nicely and that kind of works. I mean, even choosing which, because remember, you can
he's a
interchange
great
feet.
arm as well.
He's a great arm.
Oh, there we go. You see,
because he creates like a ginormous shoulder pad.
Yeah,
yeah, true.
Just
That's
really,
true. Actually,
that's a cool arm.
Of all of them, he's probably the best limb in both modes. Like,
He
Yeah.
works
there's no
very
other that
well.
looks so great in either mode, let alone both.
Yeah, I agree.
True.
He is good as a leg and an arm. I think Vortex is a really cool arm because of the kind of helicopter thing.
Yeah.
I always loved that bit in the cartoon where Bruticus actually uses the rotor to kind of get rid of all those little... Yeah, he uses it as a weapon to get rid of all those little Cybertronian guard dudes. I think that's really cool.
Afterburner with his two wheels that pop up next to each other.
Yeah, that is a really cool flourish. I love that arm detail. Those two little wheels are just so fantastic.
But it would be interesting because the thing is, you could take it even further and you can swap out accessories. You could swap out feet, you could swap out heads, you could swap out all of these different things. So you just like, how many different variations are you going to get of all these different combiners when you start mucking around with that stuff?
You are triggering Maz's OCD so fierce right now. No. He's probably having a stroke listening to this.
It's like, no! Maz should love this though, in theory, because it's like the Diaclone thing. I mean, like new Diaclone, reboot or whatever.
Yeah, but we know Maz, what happens here is he ends up with 17 of each limb in his quest to find the perfect combination.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. You might be setting his brain on fire, I think, with this one. But I think it would be fun, actually. We could really start something with this, kind of like push a little movement of just people getting, a bit kind of scramble happy with their combiners. I think it would be really
which
fun.
Which one becomes the most aesthetically pleasing, and it is, and does it end up using a combination of Autobots and Decepticons across it as well? So
all right. You're going to do it as well, Jace?
I will. Yeah, I'll need to go and get them from my other house.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? We should do this as a podcast episode. We should go away and each come up with one.
Okay. That's a great idea.
Argue its merits and get people to decide.
Get people on the Patreon to vote, which is their favorite.
Who did it better?
That's a lot of fun.
What do we win?
Kudos.
Pride.
Yeah.
No cash.
Me or Jason can win Sixo's Black Zarak. That's what
I'm not touching that. It's shatter.
I won't be responsible if it arrives in pieces. Sorry.
Exactly.
But no. But these toys, man. Honest to God, like I haven't even spoke about how good Afterburner's bike mode is, and how once you look at it for more than 5 seconds, you think, hold up a minute, it's a motorbike with a cockpit.
Akira.
But it's got like, when you work out how little the cockpit is, so how big the bike must in turn be.
Totally.
It's more of like an ATAT walker.
True. Good point. Very good point.
You're like, if there's a scale here, like the little
what is it?
in there.
It's 2 seats. That's what it is inside, Liam. It's 2 seats. Yeah.
An amazing Capri Sun Tron bike, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, Tron bike. That's good. Do you know, I was so happy because being a biker, there's so few bikes in Transformers. And so when I finally got that, I was giddy. I was giddy with the excitement for getting that figure as well. And the version that I got is the most knackered G1 figure I have in my entire collection. It is so. I think it's been bitten. It's been. Goodness knows what's happened to that figure. But anyway, I still love it.
That's a good thing to bring up, Jason, because these toys, these two combiners in particular, are two of the most susceptible to like discoloration and stuff, aren't they?
Yeah, nightmare.
Like nose cone is always yellowed. Afterburner, Lightspeed is so yellow, and it happens with a lot of the Terrorcons as well. It seems to be whatever white plastic they were into. Oof. Yeah, and even like Scattershock's wings crack. They're both quite famously not.
They do have their issues.
Yeah, Scattershot is shatter shot. Yeah,
shattered trash.
The Technobots, it's not like a pure brilliant white anyway, though, is it? It's a kind of
it's off-white.
Yeah, it's definitely.
But it does go slightly brown when it starts to go. It goes this weird brown, which is odd.
I'm looking at mine, and I think they're okay. Honestly, like I do think they're okay, but Definitely it's kind of an off-white, and it's one of those where I think you could worry about it maybe not being brilliant white, but I don't think it's supposed to be either. So whereas Abominus very much is kind of like that kind of cool grey.
Yeah. I've done the whitening trick on many sets of Technobots over the years.
Oh, really?
And because it's that set of toys in particular. I don't think there's another set that yellows as much as they do. It's just the whatever white plastic they used just seems to be a nightmare for them.
That's a shame.
Yeah, and I need to check mine. So this Afterburner figure. Oh my goodness, he has been through some trauma. His stickers, nothing. He's the silver on his chest in his robot mode.
Yeah.
It's all scratched, that silver there as well. He has been well-loved toy,
They were quite ubiquitous toys, though, weren't they? Afterburner, I think, was one of those toys that a lot of people had. I feel like Afterburner especially, I don't know.
It's the peak years of Transformers, isn't it? It's like the first two are the highest selling years, but then the third year is then going to be the one where Hasbro are like, it sold the most now, let's dump as much product as we can. Yeah. And these are that small pocket money sized toy that they're going to then stick everywhere. That's going to be in all the shops.
Yeah, that's so right. I feel like every Combiner team, though, has its one member that was more prevalent than the others. For me, it was definitely Afterburner from the Technobots. I feel like First Aid was the Protector bot that everybody had.
I got that. That was my winning prize when I got my letter printed and I broke everyone's heart at the UK.
Oh, was it?
It's blades that I got. But it arrived in a jiffy bag, Royal Mail, obviously, and his little undercarriage had broken off as well. So I had to
I think you can walk into any second-hand or junk shop in the land and you will find a G1 First Aid.
It's so true.
Yeah. You really will.
Yeah. It's so true. Yeah. But I don't know, it feels like everyone, like for me, I think the Terrorcons, maybe it's Blot was the most common. I don't know, like it feels...
So there was no Terrorcons that I remember.
I never thought of them. I think I remember as a kid.
I'm sure I remember seeing at least one or two of them. I think Ripper Snapper I remember seeing doing the rounds as a kid as well. Which I want to point out at this
as a young whippersnapper.
Exactly what I was going to say. The punny name. I wasn't that long ago. It was only like so many years ago that I was suddenly just sat down looking at the toy one day, and I was like, Ripper Snapper. Whippersnapper, and it was like,
wait a minute.
I was honestly like a light bulb went off over my head, just like, oh my god. And the best thing is I tweeted about it, feeling like a bit of a moron that I hadn't got this pun, and I tweeted about it going, I can't believe I've just realised this. And James Roberts, of all people, replied going, oh my God!
Brilliant.
And I felt better, honestly. If James didn't get it, I didn't feel quite so stupid.
That's amazing. Does this bring us nicely to the point when we choose our favourite?
I don't know. You ready for that?
But we've not even spoken about the Unite Warriors ones, we should do mini-sodes on those, maybe.
We should. I did have a question on the Unite Warriors ones, because I've recently picked up the Abominus, and of course it's good. I really like it. It's quite loosey goosey. Don't get me wrong, but I think that's very common on
that mold got toys
again
and again.
Yeah,
Silverbolt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I really like the combined mode, especially. I think is awesome. Yeah, it's just so nice. But you're a big fan of the Computron as well, right, Liam?
Oh yeah, the Unite Warriors Computron is one of my favorite, if not probably my favorite modern Transformers toy of the last 10, 15 years.
Wow.
Is so good because I really enjoyed Combiner Wars, but that one and the Seacons felt like they took everything that they'd learned and put everything into it. And the Computron's just Takara retooling and fixing stuff, getting little bits where they can. But there's even this stuff like Lightspeed, which is just a Wheeljack recolor with a new head. And it's absolutely perfect. And first look, you go, the car's just Wheeljack's Lancia in red. But then when you look at it side by side with Afterburner's original car, it doesn't look identical because it doesn't have the dome top. But you look at all of the details, and all of the details are in the exact same places, like the little vents that stick out on the side of the car, the spoiler, the way, just everything is positioned in the same place. Like you look at the front of the car, and at first glance, they're not the same. But then you look, the lights, the little scoop, all of this stuff. Is it like even the little vents? They're all in the same spots. It just happens to be where those details fall. And that every one of those toys is brilliant. Like the nose cone they created from the Rook mold isn't absurd. It's just absolutely bonkers because that drill can do so many things. Plugs into his arms. It's like the way Takara went around and did it. It wasn't just like a slight retool or a muck about where they've tried to overstretch and take a mold somewhere it wasn't meant to go. It's like they looked at all the strengths of each one and went, that one's perfect if we do this. And they just got each one to sing that little bit more. And then they obviously created a new mold for Strafe, which I say new mold, it's the same one they used for Blastoff when they made their own Blastoff shuttle. And it's retooled into Strafe. And it is incredible. Again, it's got like 15 different options on what you can do with it. And they're just really well done. Really, really well done.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
Yeah, I have to admit, I have regrets that I didn't pick that up. It's one of the few either Combiner Wars or Unite Warriors, and I kept looking at it. I think I was a bit strapped for cash at the time, but there was I slightly dismissed it because Scattershot was basically like Silverbolt with some cover up and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, but the Unite Warriors one, it's funny because Hasbro did Scattershot separately. They called him a Betatron or something like that as a Silverbolt retool. This is a different retool of Silverbolt as a different Scattershot.
Right, really, that's right.
It's odd. It's just a really odd thing. But then the way that toy comes together, the new chest parts and stuff like that, it's fantastic. And I think the robot mode works better as the Scattershot than it does the Silverbolt.
That's interesting. Yeah. Is it still kind of a bit loosey-goosey? Does it still have the joints issues and stuff?
What? The Unite Warriors Computron?
Yeah.
Mine seems all right from what I remember. I haven't had it down for a while. I picked up one of the... I've had all of the upgrade kits for it, to be fair. But I've settled on the Transform Dreamwave one, which gives him a new chest shield.
Right, yeah.
It just adds that little bit extra and gives him new hands and feet. Because the Hasbro one comes with way better hands and feet. But the Hasbro versions of all the other characters are terrible. Like poor Afterburner. What they did to that poor guy. They just took Streetwise. The Combiner Wars Streetwise.
That's right. Yes.
But you see what they did to give him, the white roof that Afterburner has. What they did for poor Streetwise is they just left the top of the car white, like including the windows. So, but you can still see the frame of the windows because there's no retool or anything. So it just looks unpainted and unfinished.
Yeah.
Whereas Afterburner's car mode isn't like that. It's got a red bit on the top, and people sort of miss that. And then you just look at it, and it just looks terrible, like poor Streetwise's face.
I remember we talked about these sets and this comparison specifically in a previous, I think it was in a mini-sode that we did at some point, and I remember looking at pictures of the Hasbro one by comparison and just being
so sad.
Ooh,
yeah, it is very bad.
But they packaged in Scrounge. They gave him
They did.
The only way to get Scrounge. I can't believe it. It's an absolute dick move if ever there was one.
Which is weird because I'm pretty sure I have that, and I don't know how I think I bought that off of a friend, and he didn't want it.
From the Cosmos.
But that was the only reason I wanted that set was that I got it. I'm looking at your photos actually of your review back in 2016 of this set, and
that's how 9 years, man. It's crazy, isn't it? To think that toy's been around that amount.
But it looks beautiful. They do like the sculpts, the stance of them, the detailing. They've the amount of work that went into the Unite Warriors version is really lovely. It reflects in the price as well, from what I'm seeing right now as well.
Yeah, it felt expensive at the time, but now in comparison, it was cheap.
Yeah, inevitably,
prices are going up.
Yeah,
but
totally.
That toy, honestly, like this, that was my favorite era for Takara because every time a Combiner came out, they went that extra mile. But when they got to Computron, they obviously just looked at what Hasbro were going to do and went, no,
not good enough.
And the crazy thing is, both toys were, I think, revealed at pretty much the same weekend from memory, because there was like an image of the Hasbro one. Some leaker had it, and he was chopping it up into little bits back in that irritating time.
Oh god!
And was releasing it like piecemeal, and it was really irritating. But I'm sure they were both announced on the same sort of weekend because that's when all the comparisons were happening. And like Hasbro's Afterburner as well with the green window, and like. It's kind of all right, but he doesn't have a green window. Whereas the Takara one has a blue window, which he doesn't have either, but it just looks a little bit kind of...
I just remember the Hasbro one looked quite cheap, and it wasn't cheap, right? Yeah, I think that was the problem.
the way they use the colours and the retools, it makes it look really just sort of cheap and a little bit grim.
Yeah.
It's just a shame. It's a real shame because then you see what Takara did. It's like, God, it's so much better. So much better. But there are people who prefer the Hasbro one, and the Hasbro one has better hands and feet. So
yeah, so I do. At the time, I remember people, and it might have been a post TFN thing, but I remember people buying both so that they could get the kind of perfect version. So they got the hands and feet from the Hasbro version, they put it with the Takara version, and they were kind of doing that. And I think that's how I got the Scrounge off of somebody.
The Hasbro Strafe as well is it's one of the aerial bots. I can't remember which one it is, with a different top bit. And you're like, when you look at it, and it's like, to be fair, I wouldn't have been too unhappy with that. I would have been fine. But then I saw that you see the Takara one, and you go, oh, it's like another level, mate.
Yeah.
It's not even even a competition, man.
Yeah.
Like,
the Strafe on the
Takara
Takara one's amazing. Yeah.
looks like a comic book drawing of Strafe, like from IDW or Dreamwave. Like, you look at it and go, that is just bang on. Absolutely wonderful thing with 17 million weapon options the way the Terrorcons as well. You've got the Unite Warriors one of that, haven't you?
Yeah, I do. So I just picked it up recently. I really
got the
like
Hasbro
it.
one, so that's all right. But I think from memory, the Unite Warriors one has a different chest shield, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. It's the colours again that really sold me on it. It's just the
Hasbro one's covered in stickers.
Right. And the Unite Warriors one, it's just, again, it's got that really gorgeous combo that I love about the original Terracon toys that I talked about earlier, where it's that kind of cool grey with the kind of hot sort of pinky purple, and it's particularly a pink on the Unite Warriors one, even more so than the G1 toy, actually. And I think it's just the colour scheme that really sold me. And honestly, I really love it as well, because it's the same size as stuff like Legacy Menasor and whatever else. So, although it's a little bit out of step with that in terms of the style of it, it's not so much really. Like, you could honestly still have it on a shelf and be perfectly happy with it, I think. I mean, I'd be interested to see if they will update these characters as well, because evidently, obviously they're doing Superion, we know. There's a Bruticus on the way, we know. We've seen some images of it, kind of. And I'd be intrigued to see if they do either of these as well. I feel like it might be a little bit further down the line if they do, because there's, Defensor still to do as well, potentially. But
I think Computron has to be higher up the card than most, because you got such a short shrift of it in Combiner Wars. Like, the Unite Warriors one is great, but that's a Takara product. In the Hasbro verse, he only got like a somewhat limited release as a box set, exclusive somewhere, that wasn't as freely available, and it was a very apologetic kind of like, there he is, that's definitely Computron, guys. Crap.
It'd be a shame if they didn't come back to them, just because I think they're such...
He's
right. Well, I think Abominus as well, they're just such all-timer designs, and they could be done really well. Like, I could imagine the current design team having a lot of fun with the Terracons as well. I think it could be done really nicely. But I do worry that they may get to maybe doing Defensor and then just go, okay, we're kind of done for a bit now. Do you know what I mean? And we've done the four, as it were.
Yeah.
There might be there's always, because they did have in the Combiner Wars, they had a gap before they did them. It was more towards the end of that line. I remember them coming out as well. Right. And they were already starting to move on. It would be a gap if they didn't do, particularly the Technobots.
Abominus was later, wasn't he? Abominus was
quite a lot later, wasn't it?
No, was he Power of the Primes? He was Power of the Primes, I think.
He was Power of the Primes.
That's right, because I so I don't know if I picked up all the parts to that in the end.
That's why it's got the stickers.
Yeah.
It's got those foil stickers as well.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Those stickers.
No. Like the Tripticon ones, yeah, totally. Yeah. That was a confusing time for releases and stuff like that. Yeah.
It was. It was. But, still some great toys and stuff as well, to be fair. So, and I do think that it's probably been long enough now, 10 years or whatever it's been, that they could kind of potentially return to them. I'd just be intrigued to see what they might do with it. But I don't know, even if they don't, there'll always be something about the G1 originals for me. They'll always stand the test of time, like no matter what new versions come up or what have you. And there aren't that many new versions, are there? It's not like these are really touched by many third parties and stuff like that.
No, it's true.
We've only had one, I think, from the Terracons, haven't we? But the TFC one.
Yeah.
Computron's had a couple. They had the Wargotron.
He's had a couple.
There was the Make Toys one, which looks amazing.
It does look
I've
good.
got this one here from these new people whose name I can't remember. Who've just a nose cone. But yeah, they don't have many. But if John Hasbro, if you're listening and you do a Computron nose cone, give him a damn cockpit and make it red. Nobody seems to do that, despite the fact it's one of the nicest features on the original toy. Nobody does it.
I love it. Like
There
None
we
of them.
go.
feedback.
do it.
Toy
Make
box,
it, but-
soapbox feedback.
Okay, just before we wrap up, fictionally, these guys don't get much of a time in the comic. Neither of them, do they?
No,
No,
really.
no.
But in the cartoon, as we spoke about earlier, they are such important parts of season 3, particularly Computron, who has one of my favorite lines in the cartoon because it's so weird. It's when Marissa Fairbairn goes, Computron has the computational abilities of 50 supercomputers. And she says supercomputers in a really weird way. And I've never understood why. She goes, supercomputers.
Wasn't she meant to be British? Wasn't that the thing?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember now.
So, did she go slightly Scottish or something?
Yeah, she goes, supercomputers. You're like, why are you saying it in this weird way? What's this? Where's this accent suddenly come
Please
from?
find that and add it to the end. That sounds
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah, I think it's just like Americans trying to do British regional accents or whatever, isn't
Yeah.
it? That's the thing. So,
Well,
or
Clint's
posh accents.
daughter,
or-
innit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also really funny because you think like the supercomputers they're probably talking about are probably about equivalent to our microwaves now.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. Our remote
And that's why
controls.
Computron is as powerful as 50 calculators. Great. He just
So
does
true.
8008 upside down. It's like a child on his chest. He's solar panelled. He's really terrible in the dark. Casio stamp on him.
Sleeps. Sleep mode.
Casiotron.
I did love his introduction in the cartoon though as well. That the Grimlock's New Brain episode was a bit of an all-timer. And I thought the whole way that he kind of came to life and Grimlock gave up his intelligence and all of that was so cool. And I love that fight between him and Abominus, such as it is. You know, as a kid, I thought that was amazing.
Yeah.
Where he's just kind of like, where Abominus is literally like hugging him to death. And he's just there going, observation, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like
a
get on with it,
nerd.
mate. Punch him, something. Do you know what I mean? Just
It's crazy
throw
how much-
hands.
How like they give them personalities like that. Like Computron is this all-powerful being, but he's just constantly
Yeah.
frozen, thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the-
totally. Yeah.
They're like the Stunticons don't get along, so they're always arguing
Yeah, I love
individual parts and stuff. But it's another moment where the combiners. It's quite interesting how the cartoon always does that with the combiners, where they're like these all-powerful beings, but they're always massively humstrung by something.
Yeah,
Like
it's
the aerial
brilliant.
bots sound like some kind of mad child bird thing when they talk.
Yeah.
Devastator's like a lumbering
Yeah, he's just a
Oh,
maniac.
thing.
Yeah.
Bruticus is an idiot. They all
Yeah.
are in it. It's
Yeah.
kind of like it's quite fun. You
I
finally
think
get
it's
all this
great.
amassed
I like
power
that.
that they can't really wield. But Computron and Abominus, like the way they are constantly introed in each episode whenever they appear, like as well, they have some of the best combination sequences. The way they're kind of like fly in from the sky and then come together and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, it's
totally.
super
realise-
cool.
by season 3, they'd really got a handle on. We sell the combiners by them looking cool as shit.
Yeah,
exactly.
totally.
When they
That's
form
all
up.
you need to do.
Yeah.
Because I remember them; they were very prominent in the Return of Optimus Prime as well, and Call of the Primitives and this kind of stuff. The
Yeah.
Terrorcons, so they really did a great job with it. And I do kind of love, again, with the origin thing. I just love that canonically that Computron is Grimlock's son, like Grimlock
Yeah.
is his dad. I just think that's so fun. It's even
That's
quite, it's
really
even
fun.
in the script, you know. It's
Oh,
even
my
said, "Are
goodness.
you my father?" You know, with nose
Oh.
cone and all of this. It's
It'd be funny if
just
they just called him, Dadlock. Or where's
Dadlock.
Yeah.
oh, dad.
Yeah, in the season 4 intro, when they reuse bits from adverts and you get that amazing bit of Computron animation of him combining.
Oh,
Mm.
yeah.
Just
So
wicked.
good.
It's
And
amazing.
the Terracons as well, when you have the stuff with the Quintessons using them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, the Quintessons have built these guys. Why have they put Decepticon badges on the ball if they're anti-Decepticon here? What's going on here?
I've just realised something as you were talking earlier. Just talking about Abominus's articulation earlier. You can turn his head as well, of course.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'd completely forgotten that you
Yeah.
can turn his head from side to side. Just what a wonderful toy.
yeah.
So, I mean, come on then. Are we ready
Yeah.
to vote on this? Liam, I think we know which way you're going.
Oh, but do you? Curveball.
Curveball. Oh, that's a curveball.
It's the curveball that's curved around so much it's come back to where it started with. Of course I'm going with Computron. It's
Right.
the best
Knew it.
combiner.
I
by
mean,
far.
you've only briefly really talked about the Terracons tonight, to be fair. Anytime we've been like, well, the Terracons are pretty cool, you're like, that reminds me of Computron.
That reminds me of the time and the battle of when I first got Computron.
Exactly.
But to be fair, I don't own the G1 Terracons, and I never have. So,
Oof. Okay, fair. Well, we'll let you off. J Swags.
Sorry, Liam. Abominus for me. And
whoa,
unsurprised to be fair.
No, well, to be honest, so I absolutely love the Technobots. Love them because it's got a motorbike in it, and I love like you were saying, the modes and all that kind of stuff. But for me, it's even though it's a baddie, and I'm only going with the goodies, it's the fact they are such an eclectic mix of characters. These like organic figures. They're super imaginative. It's not your usual stuff that you get in the line at that point. And I love the color scheme. Absolutely love the color scheme.
Okay. Does that mean it all comes down to me?
Oh,
yes.
Come on, Sixo.
Well,
get off that fence.
And he chooses superior.
You see, I see. This is the thing. I see both sides. I see both sides.
Go.
You know,
Classic.
You know, just being sort of dirty centrist. This is actually funny because there was what was it? It was some random thing someone pointed out to me on Twitter the other day. Twitter drama, you know how it is. So someone had put together this chart of YouTube reviewers and whatever Transformers people and their political status, like where they were. Yeah. I don't know why. I don't know why you would do that, but like I think they. I'm not even really sure who the dude is, but I think he's a right winger from context. And I think the idea was to show that there's some sort of political bias, you know, by most of the people being left leaning. You know, like
brilliant. Yeah,
like all the reviewers and all the kind of like known Transformers people are on the left, and that it's some sort of like
conspiracy. What? How's that?
Okay. Perish the thought that people have political biases.
Exactly. Or that they just have their own opinions and have to think that way, right? But I was in the middle as apolitical, apparently.
Oh, really? Well, there we go.
I thought it was
Switzerland
hilarious.
of Transformers
exactly. I thought it was funny because
you're the BBC.
Like,
old fence-sitting Sixo.
This is it. Well, it was just so funny because it was like, what? Because you don't know me personally and you don't know what I support in my real, actual life away from Transformers Twitter.
Gonna make you in the middle.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know
Amazing.
what I mean? So anyway, so my answer to that is f*** the Tories, and
there we go.
and also, I'm afraid, Liam, I'm going to have to choose Abominus.
Oh, do one.
Sorry.
Winner, chicken dinner.
I'm a Computron fan, but I can understand.
Yeah.
It's a great looking.
Everyone's a winner.
I'm a huge Computron fan as well. I really love the toy. I really love the character in the cartoon. The yellowing thing, now that we've talked about it, scares me slightly. I'm sort of suddenly eyeing my copy with like slightly suspicious eyes. I think it's just the colours that win me over with Abominus more than anything. It's just the colour scheme has always been one. Like if I was to imagine 1987 Transformers colours, Abominus is one of the toys that immediately comes to mind for me. It's so cemented in my brain as like an example of that colour scheme. And I love the double-headed dragon thing. I don't know. Yeah. It's so lovely, honestly.
Do you think his heads have names? Do you think they're Billy and Jimmy?
They could be. Maybe one is Hun and the other is Grr.
Grr. Do you know, I've always thought that, actually.
I was thinking of Billy and Jimmy from Double Dragon. You remember Double Dragon?
Yeah. Do you remember Double Dragon? Yes.
There we go. Should have known. It's that computer game.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Right.
Yeah.
But they're both great.
They are both great.
It's not hard for me to pick which is my favorite, but I can understand people choosing the less good one of the two. They're still
the less good one.
You're seething secretly, aren't you?
Secretly furious, livid. I'm writing to my MP about it and everything.
Right.
Yeah. Your Tory MP.
Yeah.
F them.
They're all Labour around here, my friend. And this part of Nottingham.
Right.
But they are excellent toys, man. They are just. I need to get an Abominus, but I also need to get another Computron. I've kind of made peace with the yellowing, sadly, because no matter how hard you look now, it's really, really difficult.
That is a shame.
That's the thing. So, like I was saying, the ones I've got are really knackered yellow, but you still get the fun of it, and that's it. And then when you're combining it and ripping them apart and putting them together, you don't really care. You know, it's the play value. But we need to get on. The last thing to say is we need to get on our other versions creating the best combiner.
I thought you
Yeah,
were
yeah.
saying. I thought you were about to say, but anyway, we need to get on. As in, like,
Yeah,
move
yeah.
the
I did that,
conversation
like,
on.
yeah,
doing a
I was
Maz.
totally. Yeah, that is what Maz used
Shy away
to do.
from it.
Maz used to do the
Yeah.
tapping his wrist thing like a watch. Like, come on.
We're doing that thing
Yeah.
where he's like doing that like quietly off
Carl,
the screen.
oh,
Yeah.
you're still talking, are
Spinning
you?
hand
Like,
thing.
yeah.
Wrap it up.
No, I meant like,
Yeah.
let's get our combiners on. That's it, and we'll.
Oh man, those I totally thought you were like, we need to move it on.
Yeah.
That really threw. That was a curveball.
That's a curveball, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
J Swag's teacher moment. But yes, you're right. We do need to get this scramble whatever
Scramble
thing
version.
going, you know?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
As a
Scrambled
That's
eggs
it.
all over my kitchen. There we go.
Something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So,
However that goes.
yeah. All over your face. That's the lyrics. But no, Jason is right that we do want to see your scrambled combinations. So if you hit us up on social media or whatever, or for those of you on our Patreon Discord, you should hit us up and show us what you can come up with. I'd be quite into doing
Yeah,
that actually.
Me
Have
too.
you-
Please
That's
do.
great. Yeah, brilliant.
Man, that'd be amazing. Everybody, come up with an amazing
Start
combine. Let
creating.
us see.
Have fun with it.
Yeah.
Is there a hashtag, Jason? Is there a hashtag they should use?
Combiner Wars.
Scramble City.
I mean,
Scramble. Scrambled.
Jason,
Scrambled
is that
eggs.
it?
is
Scrambled
that as good
eggs.
as it gets?
Scrambled
Scramble
eggs.
City. Transformers.
Transformers.
Well, I didn't want to
Hashtag
go off brand,
Autobots.
right?
Hashtag
Okay,
Decepticons.
let's do Triple Takeover, Scrambled City, Abominus is best. That'll work.
what about-
Everyone will remember that.
Scramble Takeover. What about that?
Scramble Takeover.
Oh, damn
That'll
you
do.
with your
That's
brilliant
good.
ideas, you
That's
know.
good.
Ah.
Scramble Takeover.
Scramble City.
Hashtag Scramble City.
It's an original idea. Back
Hashtag
in the 80s.
podcast.
This is good. It's good. Yeah.
Like man.
I was overwhelmed.
Name the toys. Name
You're like a living embodiment of LinkedIn sometimes, honestly, you know?
Oh
Bless
my
you.
God, that's the most offensive thing everyone
I know,
says.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
Hello, I'm pleased to confirm.
Exactly.
It's an honor too. Yeah.
You being Miriam again.
I think I am, aren't I? Yeah, totally. Oh my goodness.
So yeah, do hit us up with that. We'd love to hear it. And if you want to get more chat like this, and I mentioned it before, but you should get on our Patreon as well, because we've got a pretty popping Patreon going on. We've got a
See what the
Discord on
Discorders
there.
can do. What they can
Yeah.
come up with.
I'm
Yeah.
looking they'll come up with some good stuff. I'm sure
Yeah,
they
I'm
will.
sure they
We'll
will.
get blooming Duggatron with his new battle Gaia in the mix as
Oh,
well.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's going to be it,
Yeah.
isn't it?
What a cock.
Did he actually get?
so
Did he get? Oh,
Yeah,
no,
he
the
did,
Battle Guy
yeah.
he got, but yeah, Battle
he
Guy,
got
of course.
battle Gaia. Yeah. Everyone was showing off. We did a
Battle Guy.
mini-sode, didn't we? We did a mini-sode on the Generations books, and we said something about Guard City and Battle Gaia being. I think I said they were unobtainable, which was clearly one of those like throwaway comments that you just
I
make in the
saw the
moment.
thread.
Yeah.
It was cracking me up.
Like, oh, look what I've got. Look what I've
Yeah,
got.
exactly.
I've never seen so many battle guys.
Oh, they're clearly not unobtainable because I have one here.
I didn't know there were that many in existence.
no,
Of course, they'd be on our Patreon. They're owned
Yeah.
by a person on our Patreon.
That's why they're unobtainable, because all the people on our Patreon already own them.
Yeah.
I felt very poor looking at those pictures. I was like,
Oh,
am
honestly.
I the Rapsy Nesbit of Transformers collectors here? I can't afford one of these. Everyone else seems to have one.
It's
I
put
know.
a lot of my collecting into perspective where I'm just kind of like, all right, I need to just be happy with what I have.
Yeah.
You know?
I know. I supposedly I missed all of Transformers, and I was sat there going, I have none of these things. Honestly, like,
I know.
can't even dream about
And
it.
yet, dear listener, by the time this touches your ears, Sixo will probably have both of them.
No, I will not. Can assure you of that.
Yeah.
So, I might check out a Unite Warriors Computron though.
Oh,
Oh,
well
right,
worth
me and
it.
you both. Yeah, totally.
Absolutely well worth it.
Yeah.
Thinking about that, possibly.
Yeah.
We'll see.
If you can,
we'll
if you
see.
can find an affordable one, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll let you go for it first. Then you tell me if there's any left over.
Well, let's talk.
Yeah,
we'll,
right,
we'll talk
thanks.
after the
Yeah.
show.
Kill.
But so do hit us up on the old Patreon, patreon.com/Triple Takeover. And we've got loads of stuff on there. As I said earlier, we've got access to early episodes. We've got mini-series, loads of exclusive content. You get all kinds of good stuff. Access to the Discord. You absolutely want to be
New
on there.
miniseries, Beast Wars.
Oh, yeah. We've got a new
Told them
mini-series
about
on
that, man.
Beast Wars. Yeah, it's really good, actually. I thought it went down quite well. With you guys have not heard it yet, though, have you? You've not heard the...
I was there.
You not heard? Yeah, but
We've
you've
not heard the ending.
the finished ending, the outro.
People were jumping on it just to hear this earlier, so now I need to listen to it tomorrow when I'm at work. Yeah,
You might want to listen. That's all I
Have a
say.
jingle.
yeah.
Maybe you two had a jingle.
Yay!
Is it like it's Beast Wars? It's party time. It's excellent. It's Beast. I've got it in my head like the Wayne's World theme tune, and I don't know where it's come from.
I don't know either, but I'm splicing that into the next Beast Wars miniseries. So
We'll record it in full
All right,
quality.
quality version.
That's good.
Excellent. But another perk of the Patreon is that they get to ask a question. Isn't that right, Jason?
They do indeed, yeah. And we have 3 questions tonight. 1 short one and 2 very long questions. So bear with me as I read this with my caffeine-addled brain tonight. I'll start
long enough for me to try and think of an answer.
Yeah, well, exactly. So first one, we mentioned him a minute ago, one of our patrons, Dougatron. He has come in with this question. Bit of a flex facilitation. What's the best Transformers bargain you ever got?
Oof. Okay.
I'm going to make this quick and easy for you guys, and I'll go first on this one. And mine, which everyone on our Patreon knows about. Some of you were there when I got it, but it was Eva Prime for me.
Oh, yeah.
That was definitely the best.
You had a crowd.
Yeah, that was. I was just double checking what I paid for it, and I was like, "God, yeah, that was a bargain." Definitely,
there was a bargain.
Yeah,
that's the closest I've ever come, I think, to seeing a crowd of people whooping and cheering and hollering while someone makes a purchase. Honestly, it was.
I know. I think that helped.
Quite something.
You know? It was.
It was. Something. I was waiting for someone to start making out of a sailor in the background. Hats going up in the air.
It's like that. Everyone just throwing their caps. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Totally.
It really was like that. I was going to say for me that. I was going to say it was the G1 Point Blank I got because this was a really random one, but I remember. I found it when I was on holiday in Greece, actually, on Google Images. I really randomly was looking on Google Images, as you do, at pictures of G1 Point Blank, and there was a picture of a box, sealed box of G1 Point Blank, the front of the box. And when I looked it up, I realized it was some random toy store in the United States. And when I clicked on it, they had it in stock, supposedly. For I can't remember how much it was, but I think it was like $40 or $50 or something insane. Wow. And the thing was, you look at it and you're like, "Is this real?" Like they didn't. There was no option to buy it online. It was just like a listing saying, "Oh, we have it." Do you know what I mean? And like, here's a picture of it, and it was really fuzzy picture. So I emailed them. And there was an email address on the thing. They're obviously like a little local toy store in the middle of nowhere, like wherever it was. And I emailed them and I said, "Is this legit?" Like, and they were like, "Yeah, we've got it." Yeah, and I was like, "Would you post it to me by any chance?" And they agreed. And they posted it to me, and it was fine. Like it was a sealed G1 Point Blank for like literally $40 or $50.
Amazing,
crazy,
that's unbelievable.
Yeah,
that's I dream of moments like that. Like going into a charity shop and there just being, a bunch of boxed G1 stuff that someone just went, I don't need that stuff,
It does happen. I mean, this was probably 8-9 years ago now, but it does happen, that kind of thing. But the only other one I quickly thought of was Shining Magnus, if only because I feel like I bought it just before the price went into Nutsoville. Someone posted online a picture of it that they'd seen in a shop. It was yesterday. Someone posted a picture, and it was. I don't know if it was sealed or what it was, but it was in the box, and it was $1,250.
I saw that you posted cheap. In one of the chats yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. I had to share it because I was just like, "Oh my god, look at this! Like, what is?"
But weirdly, because I got the Supreme Optimus Prime. Today actually arrived. I was then just started thinking, can I get Shining Magnus? And I went online to check, and it not available anything in the UK. So I had a look in the US. There's someone selling the Shining Magnus and the Diaclone
the movie preview Magnus. Yeah.
It's in Canada.
Green toy.
$6,000. $6,000.
I mean, that is just that. What?
That 6,000 Canadian. I think it's 5,900 and something. But
but that's Canadian dollars, so that's about what 75p over here.
Yeah, CAD is more than US definitely. Yeah. So in terms,
but even then, it was like they were all the same.
Yeah,
and it was like, oh my goodness, these were shelf warmers.
Yeah, someone else pointed out. I mean, I was sort of like, spat my tea or whatever at the price for the Shiny Magnus, 1,250. But someone replied, pointing out that actually there's a sold one on eBay for $2,200.
Yeah.
That was the one you posted the picture of.
That was the one I shared it. Yeah. Because I was just like, oh my God, look at this.
People are, because this was when did that come out? Was it 2002? Was it
2000? No, it was 2000, I think.
2000, right? Okay,
I think it was 2000.
So
could be wrong.
It's a really interesting one, Shining Magnus, and
25-year-old toy. I mean,
yeah, but it
only
is
800 of them.
Right? Okay, that's what I didn't know. Yeah, so
there are only 800 of them. So
super rare.
Yeah,
but yes,
I don't know what you're talking about because I believe the correct name is Magnus, is it not?
No, someone had to say it.
Yeah, no. There you go. Liam, what was your bargain?
Oh, I've had quite a lot over the years. I've been given those
free. He keeps getting given toys for free. That's his.
He does actually, doesn't he? Turns up at TFN and
that time my boss gave me
stuff.
His whole childhood collection of turned out to be 16 boxes of vintage toys, just stacked with everything from Triptychon.
Just a normal work day for Liam.
Thousands of things. So. But as a bargain, because that was a gift, so probably that.
Does that
G1
not count?
Well, it's an amazing gift, very generous gifts. A lot of people are very generous, and I love them, so thank you. But I think in terms of a bargain, it'd probably be that G1 Encore Fort Max that I bought a couple of years ago through this pod, and it was £80.
Wow, that's good.
That was really good.
And that was pretty amazing.
That's incredible. That is really incredible. I remember people didn't believe it either. It was kind of like
no. Somebody thought I was lying.
Yeah, I remember having to back you up in at least one situation and be like, no, that was the price. Definitely.
Wait, sorry. Did you say Fort Max?
Yeah. G1 Encore.
That's what
Fort
you
Max.
got your Fort Max. Oh my goodness.
£80.
Oh my goodness. I didn't realise it was that. That is, okay, you win. That's...
It was mint in box. It had been opened but never removed.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It was brand new.
For
£80.
Wait, hang on. A G1 Fort Max.
Encore.
The Encore version, yeah.
Yeah, but even then, have you seen what the Encores are going for on now? It's just like...
Yeah, they were going for a lot then. It just was one of those where something pops up every now and again for a price and you just go, oh no, I can't not.
You can't not do it.
Not at that price. That's unbelievable. That is like...
Fancy Dan and I both got Encore Fort Max at the same time, and we paid... It was a little over 100 and something. Do you know what I mean?
Was that when they came out?
No.
When it came out, it was 300.
It was 300. I think
I
I paid.
then.
Yeah, I paid.
There was a period of time where they weren't shifting, were they? And you could pick
they were
them
just
up
sat there. They were just sat there. But same for me with Brave Maximus Car Robots. I mean that I got for I think about 120, 130 or something, and that was unused in the box.
Price,
yeah, I think I got. What did I get my Brave for? Well, my Brave was 235 actually, not as much of a deal, but boxed.
Well, that was where the whole Country Lane Dad story came from, because I had to drive literally to the middle of nowhere and go and to this guy's house. He'd had it since the year 2000. He'd picked it up at the time, not knowing what it was, and it just sat in his garage the whole time, I think. And I had to chat up the dad the whole time to work the dad whilst he was getting it out and everything. I remember I was just in this house, like, where am I? Do you know what I mean? But,
that's amazing. I love stories like that. Oh, speaking of, I'm asking you questions, aren't I? I should ask you these longer ones as well.
I'm guessing.
So this is from Evil Plop Disease. Best name ever.
Still one of the best names.
It does, doesn't it?
He's a good dude as well.
Great! I love the fact that he's come with his wife to a number of conventions and things now, and I love the fact that he refers to her as Mrs. Plop Disease.
Yeah, Mrs. Plop. That's right.
Sure, she's very flattered by that.
She loves
that exactly. Hey guys, I have a question for the pod. I had a significant gap in collecting between Beast Wars, with a brief dip in for alternators, until War for Cybertron, and have recently started to discover a small amount of what I missed. I've been particularly taken with some of Prime and animated toys I've come across this year. My question is, what are your hidden gems in terms of lines or lines you would recommend people like me who have had a prolonged collecting hiatus check out? Thanks, Plop. So it's quite it's
a whole lines.
Line, yeah. The thing is, though, he's already mentioned animated, which would be my go-to.
Right? Yeah.
But then it's funny, isn't it? Because that like animated now is a long time ago, right? And it is an expensive line to get into.
I think there are some I was going to think of some hidden gems within animated. Like for me, like the leader bulkhead and things like that is just a total.
Yeah, it's a cool figure.
Everybody should have that kind of toy, But whole lines is difficult.
So RID has to be RID. It's like that line. If you weren't collecting at that time, of all the lines we've had since,
that's a good shout.
If you've already dabbled in animated, I think the other one that is most unique and interesting and fun, and the new molds are there's such a small amount of them compared to other lines. It's achievable to get quite a lot of it.
Yeah, that's a really good shout.
A lot of it. And it's so worth it because it's unlike anything else. So RID 2000, 2001, Car Robots, those guys. Also, I hope when you signed off with plop, that was actually a sound effect and not, it was just like a plop.
We can only assume, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I might have to say Superlink. Just as
that was a great choice.
Yeah, we've obviously done a bit of a mini series on it with Maz, there, but that for me as a discovery was a line that I'd not collected at the time. I'd passed me by, and when I came to it and discovered toys like Landmine and Mega Zarek and things like that, I was just like, holy cow, these are incredible Transformers toys that hold up till today, and we've talked about these toys quite a bit on the pod, but that would be mine, definitely.
I'm trying to work out my years here, so what he's missed.
Here we go.
But I think this fits. What did you just say, Sixo? I was busy reading.
Superlink.
So you were super.
Wow.
I can't read and listen. I'm an old man. Armada is my answer.
Okay.
So yeah, just all of Armada. Because
and how many years ago was Armada?
Well, it was 23 years ago.
Oh.
Ooh,
2002.
That's about right. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah,
I'm looking at Transformers line to help myself out. But there is, like, in Armada, there is they're still, you're able to get them. It's not silly prices. They're loads of fun. You don't need to collect the entire line. It's an easy entry point, and there's some really fun transformations in some of these figures as well. And there's a lot, and then you got some biggies like the Supreme Class Unicron, which is one of the more expensive. But you get a good mix in there, don't you? Because you get your beasts, you get all your little figures, or even just the mini cons that you get and stuff. So loads of fun in that line for me.
Yeah, I feel like the Unicron trilogy generally is a great. Like if you don't worry about the cartoons, people get really hung up on like who someone was in the cartoon or kind of what characters go with what characters, all of that.
It's about the toys.
Exactly. If you just go at it as 4 years or whatever it was of toy line and don't worry about any of the lore and just pick up cool toys, there are some absolute bangers in there. And that's really how I did it. Was just don't worry about completing rosters or anything. Just literally go at it, pick and choose from each of the lines the toys that you think look cool, and you're in for some amazing times there.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
It's a good way. I always find that's quite a fun and good way to shop at somewhere like TFN. You go to Toy Fuse Stand and you can just pick something up and you can just experience that line, get a feel for it. And it's a bit like our friend Tej. That's what she does. When she goes in, she just gets like something. She just like, she specifically likes a character, but then she'll go in and just pick something else up, and there's no need to just buy it all, which kind of, as we've talked about,
such a refreshing way to do it. The minute you kind of unburden yourself or free yourself from that need to kind of represent stuff in a particular way, it's just enjoy the toys. It's so freeing.
Yeah, it's so true. Last question, and this is from Goji Prime. Question for the pod. Thoughts on accessories? I find when a figure comes with too many and not a proper way to store them, it's more of a deterrent rather than a selling point. When I see a figure coming with multiple heads, hands, and all other sorts of bits and bobs, all I think about is where I'm going to store that stuff. I know, real first world problems. That will sometimes keep me away from a figure. An example of accessories done well is HasLab Deathsaurus. Love that all the accessories neatly fit behind the throne. So what are your thoughts? Can accessories go too far, or do you prefer lots of them? Absolutely love the pod. You guys have such great chemistry. Truly a pleasure to listen to you all. Goji Prime. Thank you, Goji Prime. That's very kind. That's very lovely of you. So accessories. What's your thoughts? Sixo?
When I read this question, I completely understood what they were talking about, because I think there was a time I did enjoy a lot of accessories. and it was kind of fun when we had less toys generally. Do you know what I mean? But as your collection starts to mount up, it just gets to the point where you open the box and you're like, that's a lot of stuff, and it, I don't know, you got to store it all. It's like a whole consideration by itself. It is first world problems because you can just leave the stuff in the box if you keep the boxes, or you can find somewhere to store it, which is what I do. I've talked about it before, but I have them all bagged and boxed and whatever.
Yeah.
But it is. I can find that it can be a little bit of a pain. It's cool for photography sometimes, but even then, it typically comes down to one photograph that you might take of one specific accessory, and then it's like, I'm done with that forever now. Do you know what I mean? Like, I really don't need any more hounds that have got like the little windscreen to represent the one scene in the cartoon where he has the little face thing for going underwater. Do you know what I mean? That kind of stuff. I just don't need that in my life anymore.
Who poses it like that?
Well, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody is the reality. It's fun. Don't get me wrong, and like it is fun. But like stuff like Masterpiece Hoist, even I opened it not so long ago and I looked at it and I was like, man, this is a lot of stuff. Like I'd have been happy with just the truck and the robot, really.
Yeah. Do you know? For me, it was Ratchet in the Masterpiece. There was so many other bits that I was kind of like,
stuff.
This is just taking up shelf space now. I don't need this little floaty platform and all this kind of stuff. It was just too much. It's a really interesting one, though, because even going back to what we were just talking about in this episode, when you get a combiner, so you're getting something like Computron or Abominus, and you've got to get all those accessories to complete it, and then it just becomes quite stressful. And then, like, as I've talked before, I'm dreading moving my collection because I'm worried mostly about moving and losing accessories when I do that. And I have done the same as you, Sixo, where I've bagged everything. It's all labeled. I've got all these bits for Triptychon and all that, which I kind of love in the G1 stuff, but it did get in the MP line just way too much. And what I really like in Vinyl Tech that the accessory is part of the alt mode, and it's part of, the little guns are little and tiny and kind of look slightly daft, but I love the fact they become the engines. I think that's really nice. And even when we did the Beasts episode, and then Optimus Primal, and the way that all the gimmicks and accessories were stored
Everything
on the figure,
yeah,
that is really lovely design, really good thinking, and that's the kind of ideal in my mind as well.
Agreed.
Just lots of bits and bobs that you can lose is just too stressy for me. Liam, what's your thinking?
It's hard to complain about more stuff, getting a lot of extra bits with toys, but I fall into the similar camps as you guys with this, because a lot of it, I just open the box and look at it and go, I'm never going to take this stuff out. Like, I don't need 7 faces where some of them I can't tell the difference between the expressions. I'm like,
yeah, totally.
That's a neutral one. Is that a neutral one, or is it a slight frown? And there's so many like toys now that come with accessories that they maybe used in one episode, and you're like, why? Like, I enjoyed it when Wheeljack and stuff like that came with like the little energy device. We know what freezes the characters.
The immobilizer,
that's cool. for photography and stuff like that. But now they come with such tiny little things like transformation cogs and stuff, and it's like it's become too much. It's just a lot of plastic that you have to put somewhere. Like, I end up chucking it in a drawer in a baggie, but then every time I go in that drawer to get something out, I'm like, overwhelmed by the amount of stuff I have to sift through.
So true.
I find it quite stressful, if I'm honest. And it sounds daft, but I do.
Your example of the MP vans was really good, because that's another one, like the Ironhide and Ratchet, when they gave the sleds with all the pieces and stuff, and you're like, but the sled was part of the vehicle. It's not an accessory. It was part of the toy, and but like all the masterpieces, like I've got Megatron's, they're all still in his box, and it's like I've probably used some of them in photos once or twice, but it's just because they were there. If they weren't there, I'm quite happy with just the character and a gun.
I completely agree with that. I have to say, I mean, 2 experiences I've had recently. Firstly, selling a lot of third-party stuff, you really begin to rue some of these accessories. Like, honestly, you just begin to loathe them, because getting it all together and finding bits, and I'm pretty fastidious with keeping stuff together, but inevitably it's, just 1 or 2 bits here or there. You're like, oh, where's that then? Do you know what I mean? And God, trying to find stuff sometimes can be a total pain. And just having to like find screenshots of the toys online to make sure that you've got everything. And it's like, as you said, Liam, sometimes it's like they come with 5 different faces and one is like slightly gurning or something, and you're like, is that this one or is that a different one, or like what's going on here?
Yeah, it's awful.
You don't want to miss anything. But secondly, I had a random thing this week. Actually, I've been bagging everything or boxing everything up, my packaging, my cardboard boxes. And Jason, you made a wonderful recommendation of some 84-litre really useful storage boxes, which I gladly took you up on. They've been amazing. I mean, we should do an episode on them.
Let's do boxes episode. Woof,
that was a fun afternoon, and I'm saying that completely unironically.
Episode already. Them two. It didn't
this is
go
different,
great.
Liam. This is different. This is boxes and boxes and boxes.
This is boxes in boxes, man. Liam, you're going to get in on this. Honestly, that's what I'm saying.
Mine's already. They've been in plastic tubs for years, mate.
Oh, so you know had
the joy.
Decades. Yeah,
you've had the you've had the fun. But I unironically did enjoy it. But the one thing that occurred to me was I was putting stuff like, so the reissue Megatrons and things like this. I noticed that I've still got like the stock and the silencer and things in the box, in the toy box. And one of them, I think, was my Megaplex, has still got his mace in the box. So I was putting them in the tubs and I was thinking, yeah, but if I want to get to these accessories, I should take them out of the toy box, right? Because then I've got to go into the tub. I've got to find the tub, find the box, get it out again. Like, what if I want those things? And then I was thinking to myself, you're being daft, man, because when they've been sat in the box
all this time
for years, literal years, and I've not used it. Why would I now all of a sudden, just like randomly on the off chance one day I want to take a picture or something of Megaplex and I'm like, where's his yellow mace? It's a completely ridiculous thing, but. So I find it stressful in the regard that like it's not just having the stuff, it's then like you've got to have solutions for the stuff and like find somewhere to put all the stuff, and it's got to be readily accessible in case you want to use those accessories even though you never actually will. So yes, less accessories is maybe a good thing.
And some of it's getting a bit like boring seeing again and again. It's like every Trex Warpath and Hoist now has to come with the alien mask from that one episode.
Yeah.
And I think the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, that's a fun little reference. And now every time you see it again, you're like, oh, again.
Yeah, I'm going to get those muddled up. Yeah,
yep.
Totally.
Okay, yeah.
Like the novelty has worn off, I think.
Yeah.
In a lot of them.
It's a little bit that way, I hate to say it, with Optimus Prime energy axes, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely getting that way. Yeah, I never take them out of the box. And the thing was, it slightly broke my system because I think I mentioned in a previous episode, so I know that I have all of G1 World's weapons because it's in the photo that I've taken. But I can't find I'm assuming 2 of his weapons are in my really useful box, in the loft, in some bubble wrap. But that isn't how I store stuff now. So then I'm just sitting there thinking, where is that? Where is that? I don't want that kind of thing in my brain. I'll probably forget to cook a dinner for my child. Don't need this stress
in my life.
Exactly. I've got dad things to do.
Of 2 of World's missing weapons.
Yeah, this is it. It's because I know it's going to cost probably £50 each for those weapons.
God, Jason, your life.
But then, like you said, it doesn't matter, right? So it doesn't matter, actually, because it's not like I'm suddenly going to be like, raging and want to get rid of the world.
I think it is like manufactured stress. I think that's the thing. Yeah. It's like our brains are so hardwired to like wanting this stuff to be complete.
To be perfect.
And
exactly.
And so if you're missing like a tiny little accessory that actually is completely inconsequential, still collector brain is like, it's incomplete. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, that's it. And that's where this is a whole separate podcast, but that's where it can become a bit unhealthy as well.
Yes,
I think for me. So
agreed.
Yeah. Good questions, though, patrons. Thank you very much. As always, loads of love to you all.
Yeah, indeed. And we should also mention, of course, that we do have a sponsor for the evening. That is tfsource.com. So you should go and check them out for all your Transformers needs, indeed. And lads, it's been emotional, hasn't it? The old Terrorcons versus Technobots. And I can say it that way around now, I think, Liam, considering
because we know who the winner is.
The Terrorcons. Terrorcons won.
Flipping Terribles. More like.
Is that the best you've got? They've definitely won in that case, you know?
And the
Team Terrible.
Technocrats. I don't know.
This is like when my 7-year-old tries to come up with snappy comebacks, when he's like, when he's been told to go and brush his teeth or whatever. He's like, oh,
yeah,
poop,
suck. So
yeah, exactly.
But we're done. Let's get out of here. Bedtime.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
there we go.
Bedtime.
Bedtime. Indeed. Okay. Well, on that note, we're all off the bed. Not collectively, I don't think, but we are.
That's only a TFN.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, show room. So, but for the rest of you, thank you very much for listening, and we'll catch you for the next one. You're secretly seething now, aren't you, Liam?
Oh,
Seething
outrage.
with
See
rage.
I'll never get over it.
Seething.
I knew you were both going to pick that guy.
You did not know.
I did.
How long are they gonna keep that up?
Till they decide whether to trust you. In Computron mode, Technobots have the computational ability of 200 supercomputers.
200 supercomputers.
200 supercomputers. 200 supercomputers.